Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and we got New York Knicks basketball that counts in less than 2 days. Wednesday night, the New York Knicks are taking on the Boston Celtics in Madison Square Garden. I will be in attendance, and in this live stream and in this video, we're going to be giving you guys our season preview, or basically my season preview. I don't have any special guests in this one, but I'm really excited to talk about this, guys, because there's so much to get into before the season starts. There's so much positive energy surrounding this Knicks team. They're coming off a 4-0 preseason performance. Julius Randle hitting the game winner to cap off the beautiful preseason from the New York Knicks. Tom Thibodeau is not taking any game, like it just doesn't count. Every game matters for this Knicks team. I'm excited to give you guys my preseason recap, give you guys my record prediction, where we're going to finish in terms of wins and losses, and my prediction for the Eastern Conference seeding. I'll go over all the expectations, individual players, the new guy that we got, Luka. There's a lot of things that I want to get into in today's stream. So welcome in, guys. It's been a while since I've been live for a Knicks media stream, but the season is right around the corner. Expect a ton of content here in Knicks Media all throughout the season, recaps every game, live streams sporadically. I'm going to be live during games throughout. Sometimes I can't go live every single game, but I'm going to try to go live some games, maybe once a week at least, to give you guys my live play-by-play reaction. So welcome in, everybody. I'm excited to be live, excited to talk Knicks basketball. Shout out to Kelvin in the chat and David. Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Make sure you smash that like button on your way in. So now let's get into it right away, guys. First and foremost, let's talk about the preseason, because that was a lot of fun, and it really did give us an idea of what we can expect from this Knicks team in terms of their identity, in terms of how Tom Thibodeau is going to, work the rotations, what we saw from the new guys, including Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, and the rookies. Because as we know, this team is pretty much the same as last year, despite, a couple changes. As we know, the Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock are no longer here, and we replaced them with Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker, and then we also added on some rookies. So that's really the biggest difference right now. The starting lineup, we didn't really get a big sample size, I feel like, of Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier. I feel like the bench unit played a lot more minutes. RJ and Randall played more minutes than them too, but that's not something I don't expect when it happens, in regular season. I'm expecting Evan Fournier and Kemba to be playing real-time minutes and provide big impact. And that's the first thing I want to talk about in terms of this team, is Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, because they're – I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please let me know in the chat. If you guys are watching this on playback or you're watching it right now with me live, let me know in the chat your thoughts about Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, what you guys expect from them going into their first season with the New York Knicks. Because as we know, last year, Elfrid Payton at the one, he brought a defensive element. You guys know how I feel about Elfrid Payton. But what Kemba Walker is bringing to this team, that is replacing Elfrid Payton with, is a shot creation ability, his ability to, take a lot of pressure off the guys like Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, because he has the ability to create his own shot. He can come off the pick and roll. If he's open, he's going to pull up. He can drive to the rim. He can pull up from mid-range. He can do everything. He's a versatile weapon on the offense. He has dynamic dribble moves ability, and I feel like Kemba Walker is going to unlock this offense, and it's going to be such more fluid. I think that's the biggest takeaway I took from the starters so far in preseason. They are so unselfish. They really move the ball with fluidity. And that's the big reason is because replacing a guy like Elfrid Payton with Kemba Walker is a big reason. Also, replacing Reggie Bullock with Evan Fournier on the offensive side of the ball is so big, because what Evan Fournier brings to the table is another guy to put the ball on the floor, take it to the rack, create for others. I mean, I saw a lot of opportunities for Evan Fournier's, dishing it out to RJ Barrett. He's creating his own jump shot. Evan Fournier, he's very versatile on the offensive side of the ball, and he also has really good defensive instincts, I noticed, from Evan Fournier. He might not be the lockdown defender that Reggie Bullock was with the Knicks on the perimeter, but I feel like Evan Fournier has good instincts in terms of getting into those passing lanes, knowing where the ball is, having a feel for the basketball game, and that's kind of like the European vibe that I get from Evan Fournier. I feel like he's going to have a big impact for this Knicks team. I feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to be, hot and cold. I'm not expecting Evan Fournier to be consistently putting up 20 points per game at all. I think he's going to average around maybe, 17 on this Knicks team. I think there's going to be games where he does drop 30 plus. I think there's games where he's going to drop 25 plus and go off. And there's going to be games where, he's going to struggle. I feel like that he's one of those players that's a hot and cold. Hopefully we get to see more hot of Evan Fournier, but I'm excited to see what he can do in his Knicks debut against his former team. I mean, it's both their former teams, Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, both going up against the Boston Celtics. And I'm really excited to see what we're going to see from these two guys. So moving on, let's get into record predictions. Well, actually, no. Before we get into the fun stuff from the record predictions, we still got a lot of recap about the preseason. There's some something that I noticed about this preseason is the bench unit looked like they were way ahead of the starters simply because they've played together for a long time. Obviously, last year, it's all the returning people: Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley, Alec Burks, Obi Toppin, Taj Gibson. Those guys have played together a lot last year, and I feel like the unsung hero of that bench unit, and low key the guy that I'm most excited to see this year is Derrick Rose. I mean, Derrick Rose is the king of that bench unit, and he's going to be such a big part of this team this year. I think every Knicks fan understands Derrick Rose's impact to this team, not only on the court, but off the court as well, implementing Tom Thibodeau's coaching abilities into, players like the Rooks, Quentin Grimes, Deuce, Jericho, and then year two guys like Obi, Emmanuel, even RJ in year number 3. D Rose is just the perfect guy to be in the ears of all these young players. But the bench unit really stood out to me. I feel like that's going to be a unit that's going to carry this team a lot. I love what I saw from Obi Toppin. I feel like he is going to take a big step in year number 2. You can tell he's way more comfortable out there. You can tell that he feels, like he's, going around there. He has a purpose on the court. I feel like last year he was very passive. He didn't know where his spots were. He's trying to learn the NBA game. If you really think about it, Obi Toppin, and same with Emmanuel Quickley, last year as rookies, they got drafted and then they got thrown into the fire. Like 3 weeks later, the season starts. They did not have a traditional, rookie, off season when you get drafted and then you go to summer league and then you have training camp. You have all off season to work on your stuff. And then you can study the playbook. But last year, it was a really big adjustment period, not only for Obi and IQ, obviously, but the entire rookie class. And I feel like we're going to see a big jump from a lot of players going into year number 2 simply because of that reason, including Obi Toppin. I feel like he's somebody that you can tell that his offense is there. He has confidence shooting the ball from downtown. The athleticism has always been there. He's there crashing the offensive boards. But the biggest thing that I noticed from Obi is his defense. He's protecting the paint. He's getting into the passing lanes. He's forcing turnovers. And that's going to make or break his minutes on the court. And I feel like Knicks fans should really hope for Obi Toppin to make a big impact because that's going to take a lot of the burn off Julius Randle. We know that he's going to get his minutes in Randle, but if Obi Toppin plays at a high level, it's going to be hard to take him off the court, which will lower Julius Randle's minutes. And we have to remember, this season is not about making the playoffs. It's about making noise in the playoffs. And we got to make sure that we can, make sure that we don't run our players down and we gas them out. But even though I'm not worried about that because everyone seems to be in great shape. So Obi Toppin is definitely somebody I want to talk about on the bench. And then another thing that I took away from the preseason is rookie Quentin Grimes. In the last game of the season, the preseason, he ran with the starters to close out the game. It wasn't the starters. It was the lineup that Tom Thibodeau went out there to close out the game in the fourth quarter against the Wizards. It was Derrick Rose, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, Julius Randle. And that was a great unit. And Tom Thibodeau talked to the media and he said he really loved what he saw from Quentin Grimes out there defensively. And we know that he's a sharpshooter. His potential shooting the ball from downtown is absolutely tremendous. Like his jump shot is beautiful to look at. The form is everything you want in a shooter. And you can see on the defensive side of the ball, had 2 crucial steals, playing lockdown defense at the perimeter. I feel like he's going to get a lot of time in this next rotation just because of how good his defense looks so far as a Knick in the preseason. And yes, it's a small sample size, but you can tell, he was the same exact draft pick selection as Emmanuel Quickley last year. Quickley was 25th overall. Quentin Grimes was 25th overall as well. I think he's going to find some time in this lineup. I really believe that. But then the question is who's not going to get a lot of time, and that the odd man out would be Alec Burks, but there's no way Alec Burks does not get his fair share of minutes because he's a veteran. He's going to have a big role in this team off the bench. His versatility, offensively, defensively, he can bring the ball up. His shot creation. I love Alec Burks. Don't get me wrong. I feel like he needs his minutes, but I'm really excited to see the rookie Quentin Grimes. I feel like you guys should be as well. Man, there's so many things to talk about this season. Anything in the chat you guys want me to talk about, let me know. I see you guys are pulling up right now. My guys, Kelvin, all of you guys, what is good, everybody? David, Jay Zeltz, what's good, man? Woo, it feels good that the Knicks are back in literally 2 days, guys. 2 days, not even 2 days, like 1 day it feels like. Obviously it's not tomorrow, but, Wednesday night, Madison Square Garden, home opener, I will be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So another thing I want to talk about in terms of Knicks preseason is what I saw from RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett in year number 3, this is going to be a big season for him. The one thing that I noticed in particular about RJ is his shot looks even more improved. The jump shot is on another level in terms of his confidence and his shooting form. And, I think he shot the most threes on the Knicks in the preseason. And he also made the most threes, and he also had the highest percentage. I think he hit 47.5 of his three-point shots. I think in total he was 10 of 21 from the three-point land. That's ridiculous, guys. If RJ Barrett, if that wasn't a fluke last year of him shooting over 40%, then we're in for a really special year for RJ. I'm not expecting him to, become a 47% shooter, but you can tell that he is so confident in his ability to shoot the ball from downtown. That's only going to open things up for him. The one things I want to see RJ Barrett improve on is definitely, finishing at the rim. I feel like RJ Barrett, sometimes he makes really good aggressive moves to the rack, but then he gets contact and the defensive guy, tries to block it and he contests it really well. And RJ seems to be missing them at the rim, those easy layups. I feel like that's going to come naturally. I feel like he's eventually going to start hitting those tough shots. Like, not to say RJ's never hit a tough layup in his life, but there are some times where he misses easy ones. So hopefully he can really, because that's going to make or break him becoming a actual good, top tier NBA player like I expect him to become. But his mid-range jump shot looks there. His playmaking is very taking another step. And the biggest thing that I noticed about RJ in year number 3 so far is his size. I mean, he grew a little bit. He definitely put on a little weight, and that's going to be huge for him taking that next step defensively. You could tell that he's making that next step. There's multiple different scenarios of RJ Barrett defending Bradley Beal, locking him up. You saw in the clutch against the Wizards, I forgot who it was, but he blocked someone at the rim in the fourth quarter when it mattered the most. Like that clutch block. He's getting into the passing lanes. He's blocking shots. He's playing lockdown post defense, perimeter defense. Like, he's going to be a very, very important part to this team if his defense does take that next step, because he's the guy that's going to be called upon saying, hey, RJ, we need you guarding the best player on the other team because, Reggie Bullock is gone. That's going to be crazy. It's going to be a really fun season for RJ Barrett. I'm expecting him to take that big step for sure. And hey, don't get me wrong. I think RJ Barrett is going to improve in every single stat again. Maybe not by a large margin because it's hard for him to improve the way he did from rookie year to year number 2. But definitely expect RJ to reassert himself as an ascending star in this league. I genuinely believe that. And then to finish off the preseason recap, Julius Randle. I mean, what else can we say about Julius? Hitting that game winner was awesome to see. You can tell that this is that was the perfect scenario for Julius Randle to get an idea of what it's like to hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer at Madison Square Garden. He signs an extension. Julius Randle's a Knick for life, essentially. He comes here coming off Most Improved Player of the Year, All-Star, second All-NBA team. Randle had a season for the ages. Knicks fans, we love Julius. He won the city over. Now he's the king of the team right now. He's the head of the snake. He's the best player on the squad. And I just love that, Tom Thibodeau's like, all right, Julius, game's tied. Go win us this game. There's no creative play call. It's just Julius Randle, isolation, go to work and hit the shot and let's send us home. Let's not go to overtime in the preseason. That's exactly what he does. And outside of that, just one, game-winning shot. What I saw from Julius, in that game number 3, he lit it up in the third quarter. It turned into the all-star Julius Randle that we fell in love with last year, hitting crazy three-pointers, step back, corner threes, baseline contested shots, his mid-range jump shots there. His three-point jump shot looks like it's even better this year. But the one thing that I noticed about Julius Randle so far in the preseason, and it's not to say he did not do this last year, but it seems more, profound this year for me in particular, is I'm realizing how big Randle is and how fast he moves for the size. He is the perfect type of player for today's NBA, where we have a playmaker at the 4 spot. That brings this element to this Knicks offense so much better, because that's what really separated, that's what really unlocked this Knicks team last year, because Julius Randle all of a sudden turned into a point forward. The ball was in his hands. He can push the pace. He can dish it out. He's a threat. And when you have a guy at that size to be able to take somebody off the dribble and shoot it hit it in your mouth and have the clutch gene and have the ability to put the team on your back at times, man, Julius Randle is only going to get better. And the additions of Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, they're only going to help out Julius Randle. So I'm super excited to see what Randle can do in his first year with the Knicks after signing that extension, because he's going to be a really big piece to this Knicks team, obviously. He's the X factor, honestly, for the entire squad. And very excited for Julius Randle. So now let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into the record prediction. So I have mine written down. If you guys want to comment in the chat, what's your record prediction? I see Joel already gave his 51-31 Knicks 4th seed. I called 41-31 last season, but I got the seeding wrong. All right, Joel, I see you, man. Hey, I love it. My my record is not 51-31, but it is pretty similar, and I'm going to get into mine soon. So everybody in the chat, and if you're watching this on replay, comment your prediction of the Knicks, record and seeding. So here's my prediction, guys. I want you to also let me know, do you agree with this or do you disagree with this? So my record prediction, hold on, I'm going to write it here real quick so you guys know it, is this. You guys think I'm on point, or you think I should have predicted more wins or less wins? Hold on, let me just write it in real quick. All right, here we go. Drum roll, please. My record prediction for the New York Knicks this year is, oh wow, I see people in the chat stealing my record prediction. All right, here we go. That's funny. You guys in the chat, you stole my record prediction. So I have the Knicks going 48-34 and finishing with the 5th seed. That's my prediction. Bold, I don't know. I feel like that's realistic. The Knicks take the regular season more seriously than any other team. They do not do rest days. We might see a different and change of that with Kemba this year because we have the luxury of Derrick Rose. So it's not like we need Kemba Walker every single night. We need to make sure we preserve him. But this is my record prediction. I feel like that we can definitely win around 45-plus games minimum. I'm not saying – I actually feel like we could win 50-plus wins. That it's on the table. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it definitely is possible. If the Knicks get hot at the right time, if they get hot early, watch out. Because the Knicks team last year, they had a slow start. They were flirting with 500. They went under 500 in the middle of the season. And then all of a sudden, late March, early April, they went on that 9-game winning streak that really sparked their entire season. And the reason why they finished with the 4th seed, they got hot really late. So if we can stay with that consistent, rhythm early on, get off to a hot start, and then stay even keel and, get on some winning streaks, I would not count out the Knicks getting at least 50 wins. I don't want to, get ahead of myself. That's another thing I want to talk about with the Knicks fans. We have to tame our expectations a little bit because we're coming off, the Knicks completely blew away all of our expectations. Nobody thought we were going to be the 4th seed last year, even our own fan base. Like, you guys cannot tell me with a straight face that we, expected Julius Randle to become the most improved player of the year, Thibodeau to win coach of the year in his first year with us, going to the playoffs as the 4th seed, going 41-31. Like, that all was insane. And now going into this year, I think we're going to be improved. I think we're going to be a better team in terms of continuity, year number 2 at Thibodeau. But we also have to realize that, this is a season, we can't get ahead of ourselves. That's all I'm trying to say. I like the idea of going in with lower expectations and exceed them. Then we have all these high expectations that they don't meet them, and then we get really upset. And we're like, oh, man, I know that's just the way I kind of go about my squads. This is the first time in my life going into a Knicks season, I have this much confidence to say that we're going to make the playoffs in my life. Usually it's more hopeful thinking. It's like, yeah, maybe we could squeeze out an 8 seed if we're lucky, and I'm always wrong. But this year, last year, that's what I was saying. I was like, hey, maybe the Knicks, there's a play-in tournament. Maybe the Knicks can make the 10th or 9th or 8th seed and, get in that play-in tournament and squeak into the playoffs. Little did I know, we go to the 4th seed. This year, I think that we have an ability to avoid that play-in tournament and make the damn playoffs. I can say that with confidence. First time since 2013 era where I really can say, wow, this team is very well coached. And that's the next thing I want to talk about in terms of this team is Tommy Thibodeau. So Tibbs, this guy right here, he is the key to this entire franchise, and it all starts with Leon Rose as well. He deserves a lot of credit. Leon Rose is the reason why Tom Thibodeau is here, and you also got to give credit to Dolan. Dolan is the owner of the Knicks, obviously. I don't think any Knicks fan is a fan of James Dolan, but we do got to give credit where it is due. He's the one that hired Leon Rose, and then he took a step back. Leon Rose is the one that hired Tom Thibodeau, and he hired the entire staff around Tom Thibodeau. And ever since that change in scenery at the president of Leon Rose, the entire culture has changed with the Knicks. Tom Thibodeau comes in. He wins Coach of the Year in year number 1. What do you guys expect from the coach Tom Thibodeau in year number 2 with the Knicks? I feel like now that we brought back all these same guys that was crucial pieces to our success last year, and Alec Burks, D Rose, Taj Gibson, Nerlens Noel, and all the guys that are free agents, we brought them back because they were a crucial part to the continuity of this team. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that I noticed from the Knicks front office perspective is they really make sure that in order to build a culture, in order to build a foundation here, not only to win now, but win sustainably for the future, you need to have a continuity. And I feel like that's the thing that the Knicks have been lacking for a long time. And what that means is basically having the same people in charge over and over again, the same system where you draft people into the system, you develop players over time, you have the same people coming back, and you develop successful habits. And I feel like that's what this team's doing. And my whole life, I've been waiting for this moment. Every single Knicks fan has been waiting for this moment. And it all started up top. The executives were a mess. Phil Jackson era, and then Mills, and then, all these bad contracts that were like short-term thinking, trying to, really hone in on winning this year and not thinking about the 3 or 5 year plan down the road. And it was be a mess. Leon Rose comes in the building. He has a vision in his brain, not only for the long term, but the short term. And he's just doing it beautifully. And we got to give credit to where it's due. Leon Rose, Tom Thibodeau. Woo! Now let's get into Tom Thibodeau, what makes him such a great coach, in my opinion. And he also has to be held accountable because, I feel like Tom Thibodeau got out-coached in the playoffs by Nate McMillan and the Atlanta Hawks. That's something that we cannot forget. That's Thibodeau's first time as a coach in the playoffs with the New York Knicks, obviously. We got a lot of inexperienced players in the playoffs, like Randle, RJ, and all these guys. So hopefully Thibodeau learned from that experience, not only Randle and all the players, but Thibodeau, because, he was definitely out-coached in that appearance. But what I love about Thibodeau the most is he is, he's a character. I feel like Knicks fans, we're experiencing Tom Thibodeau right now. And even in the preseason, you see that we're up by 25 points. He's pissed off if they mess up one defensive play. He'll shout at anybody. Doesn't matter who the player is. He'll let you know you messed up. And he's holding every single player accountable. And that's what I love about Thibodeau is he's very hard on his players, but the players that we have, they like to be coached. And that's something that is really important because sometimes, in Minnesota, for Tom Thibodeau's perspective, I feel like sometimes you'd be hard on his players and the players didn't want to be screamed at and they didn't really believe in Thibodeau like the Knicks do right now. I feel like we have a really good group of young guys mixed with veterans that appreciate Tom Thibodeau's hard coaching. And not only his hard coaching, but his system. Defensively, he's a mastermind. I mean, we were first place in defense in every category last year. I'm not expecting that to replicate this year, but the good thing about, Tom Thibodeau is even though we regress in terms of personnel defensively, Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, those two guys are really good defenders that we're missing out on. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, they're better offensively, but not defensively. I do like the system of Tom Thibodeau. Like, if we can still be a top 5 defense, I like our chances. I feel like people like RJ Barrett making a big step defensively is going to be a big deal. Obi Toppin making a big step defensively is going to be a big deal. Mitchell Robinson gaining weight and being able to, be a post defender is a big deal. Nerlens Noel, I know that he's dealing with a knee problem. Hopefully he can get back eventually. But man, I feel like the Knicks under Tom Thibodeau, they're so well coached, and the unselfishness is what really stands out to me the most personally. The ball movement on offense is something like we've waited so long for this to see an offensive, hot potato type of play, like going around the horn, driving, off ball movement, fluidity, getting to the open man, just unselfishness. It's like, wow, it's a breath of fresh air. Like they're playing together, they're playing as one. And that's what successful teams are do. That's what well-coached basketball teams have been doing for a long time, and the Knicks have been not part of it, We got a nice donation from V-Man. What's good, bro? Hope you're doing well, my man. What's the high watermark of the 21-22 Knicks? Also, what jersey should I buy as my first Knicks jersey? Randle, Quickly, or Barrett? That's a good question, V-Man. I appreciate the donation. The high watermark of the 2021 Knicks, I don't know. Do you mean by like wins or something by that? I think 50 plus wins is possible, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I predicted 48-34. If you're going to pick a jersey, the number one guy in terms of guaranteed he's locked up is Randle. He's the only one that's, locked up long term. So I would definitely consider him. He's the head of the snake. RJ, you can't go wrong. It's funny that these are the 3 choices, V-Man, because I have 3 Knicks jerseys that are with 3 Knicks current players, and this is the jerseys. I have a Randle jersey, I have a Quickly jersey, and I have a Barrett jersey. Those are the 3 jerseys I own. So any of the 3 would work. I can't recommend one over the 3. The next jersey I want to get is D Rose. Definitely, I want a D Rose jersey. Last year when he came back to the Knicks, I was like, do I want a D Rose jersey? And I'm like, if D Rose re-signs with the Knicks, I'm getting a Knicks D Rose jersey, 100%. And that's exactly what happened. I want to get the classic D Rose one. That's something that I want to do, for sure. So let's see. Kelvin just got an Obi jersey. There we go. Anywhere from 47 to 51 wins. All right, Michael, I see you, man. Kelvin, exactly why we're winning 58 games. Woo! Brett, hell no. 48, 51 wins to be exact. Hope so. 50 wins. 50 wins. 44 wins this year. Okay. I like these predictions. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen with this team. Last year, we were all dead wrong with our predictions, but we'll see. So, guys, I did not make a video about this topic yet. I probably should. I didn't get a chance to, but the Knicks signed a new player, and his name is Luka Šabanić. I think that's how you say the name. He's Croatian. He was a first-round pick for the San Antonio Spurs in 2019. He went 19th overall. He's a big man who is, can stretch the floor. He can shoot the ball from downtown. He can dunk the ball. He has good touch around the rim. He kind of reminds me of like a Sabonis type of player, but not as good. Obviously, Sabonis is an all-star caliber, but he is a guy that can stretch the floor. He's creative off the bounce. He can, shoot the ball from downtown. He can, get nice post hook moves. He's the 15th man. So if anything happens to guys like Obi or Taj, or we're down to the big man later on the season, Luka's going to be that guy that comes in. But he's going to be on the active roster. He got signed to a 2-way contract. I think he's going to be on the team. Unless he goes to G League, I'm not too sure. But based on all the reports that I'm seeing, I think he's going to be on the the active roster as the 15th man. The former first-round pick from the San Antonio Spurs. So that's really my thoughts on that. But yeah, guys, is there anything else you guys wanted me to talk about before we end off the stream? I'm excited. I'm going to the Knicks game Wednesday night. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. The home opener is going to be crazy. I'm sure if we win, the Knicks fans are going to parade the streets like we won a playoff series, and I'll be right there with them. Man, it feels good that the Knicks are back. It really does. There's so many optimistic things surrounding this team, whether it's Julius Randle, whether it's D Rose, Emmanuel Quickly. Like, oh my God, this team is just so fun. They're just such a fun team to be a fan of. Absolutely, man. So anything you guys want me to talk about, let me know in the chat. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Hope to see you there too, Calvin. Let's go, baby. Rumors are Šabanić was waived by Popovich because they didn't go eye to eye. All right, we'll see if he has a role on the Knicks. You see so many players around the league. They get waived somewhere, and then coaching really brings the best out of them. I don't really expect Šabanić to get a lot of time at all this year unless we have an injury problem. And if we do have an injury problem and he has to play, hopefully he can make an impact. But I feel like his ability to space the floor is going to open up the offense if he does get the time. D-Rose going to win 6th Man of the Year, Richie. Newton, I agree. I think it's obvious at this point. Is there a better player off the bench in the entire league? Derrick Rose, like, in my eyes, is like low-key the best player on the team. Like, I don't know. It's really rare for me to watch Derrick Rose play with the Knicks and, like, not be blown away or not think he's going to hit every shot. Like, he's just so good. So methodical, so fluid, so, like, he just mastered his craft. He moves that slow motion. Everything's like so good. Man, I'm excited for D Rose this year. If he stays healthy all season long and Kemba stays healthy, so he could remain coming off the bench, I would put money on it that D Rose wins 6th Man of the Year. I really, really would. Like, he's in a different state of mind right now. He's a really, really good place in his life spiritually. Off the court, he's a really good place. He's engaged now. Everything's looking good for D Rose. The bench unit, that's something I love to talk about. The bench unit is low-key one of my favorite units to talk about on this entire team. Like, they play very well together. Like, Obi Toppin, year number 2, is probably the player I'm most excited for personally. Obviously, Emmanuel Quickly as well. He needs to take that big step in order for him to, really establish himself as the steal of the draft last year like we all expect him to. And then Quentin Grimes, I feel like he's going to be part of the bench unit eventually. Alec Burks, his versatility. And the big news is, the big men. So Mitchell Robinson, he made his debut. My assessment on Mitch, he definitely looks out of shape. He's bigger, he's stronger, but he's out of shape right now. He lost his touch. He needs to get a lot of, playing time in order to get his feet wet. Nerlens Noel, he's banged up with a knee problem. Hopefully he's better soon, because that would be bad if Nerlens is out for a while. But Taj Gibson, we got Taj Gibson, guys. No worries. Taj Gibson is a perfect guy to fill in Like, he's the perfect insurance for if Mitch or Nerlens are not in the lineup, Taj Gibson's right there. We also have Jericho Sims that showed a lot of flash if he needs to step up in case Taj goes down or Mitch or anything like that. I just like the depth on this team, man. The depth is just so interesting. Woo! I love it. I absolutely love the depth on this unit, guys. It gets me super excited. So, all right, guys, that's going to really finish off the live stream. I want to go live for like 30 plus minutes. I'll give you guys my season preview. There's so much I talked about in this. There's so much more I want to talk about. Stay tuned for more Knicks content. If you want to see more videos like this, you're not subscribed, please consider doing that. I'll greatly appreciate that, guys. Smash that like button if you guys did not already. I appreciate all the support. The Knicks are back. It feels so good to say that. Been waiting all summer long. The offseason was great. Let's go shock the world, and let's go Knicks, baby. Let's go Knicks. I'll catch you guys on my next stream, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.